Listen, the YouTube family, what's good? What's good? What's good? Yo, man, I got an interesting one for you today. This one is super interesting. But listen, I ain't doing nothing until you press the like button. You need to press the like button. You never want to look upon you, press the like button. Listen, in all seriousness, I appreciate you checking out this little channel. I always think, like, I don't know how you found my channel, but I'm glad you did. It's much appreciated. I don't know if you find this one a little bit interesting. Check out some other videos. Check out the shorts. I got a lot of good info. You know what I'm saying, regarding use of force, police encounters, and everything. So check out the videos. Check out the shorts. Leave a comment. Respectful comment. Constructive criticism is always welcome. But you know, all these ignorant, arrogant people, you know what I mean, trying to question my knowledge and my experience. Luckily, YouTube, they got guidelines. I can't say what I want to say to you, but I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the constructive criticism as well. You know what I mean? So thanks, and I appreciate it. Listen, man, this is up there with probably, you know, my most interesting video. So you want to watch this one all the way to the end, right? Simple BK reactions. Hold up. Yo, did you tell the people to go over to simplebkclothing.com? Come on, dog. Listen, I need y'all right now to go over to simplebkclothing.com. I guarantee you're going to see something over there that you like. I mean, I got stuff for kids. I got stuff for the women. I got stuff for working out. I got everything you think you could possibly want and or need on this website. And then check it out. Check this out. I'm also offering you a promo code. Use promo code SimperBK at checkout. All right, so where do I begin? So I used to be an Atlanta police officer, right? Shout out to Atlanta. I got so much love for Atlanta. I feel like a second home. I got so much love for Zone 4, Southwest Atlanta, Campbellton Road, Honeysuckle, Stanton Road, Central Villa, Cascade. Did I say Campbellton? Of course, I gotta say Campbellton. I mean, just Campbellton from Lee Street before Zone 3 all the way to 166 Pass. So much love. Camp Creek. So much love for Southwest Atlanta. I gained all that love just living down there. I was there for probably a total of 4 years. You know what I mean? And so I was an Atlanta police officer, and I worked in Zone 4. I worked right off Campbellton Road, and I loved my community. Zone 4, if you know anything about Atlanta, like, you know, because a lot of people say Atlanta, and it's not Atlanta. They say Atlanta, and they be in damn Douglasville. And that's probably, what, 30, 45 minutes away? That's not Atlanta. If you have to have a quadrant on the end of your address, and that's Atlanta, right? So I worked in Zone 4, and I don't have many friends still left at APD. I got one. Go check out her page, though. My homie, Rashida Herbers. I almost said more. Rashida Herbers. I'm going to try to remember leave a link to her YouTube page. Man, if you want to get your financial literacy up there, you know what I mean? Check out her page. She got some gems that she drops every week, and it will really get you in a better financial space. Or if you're in a good one, even a better one, you know what I mean? So I was working in Zone 4, right? But anybody who knows anything about the Atlanta Police Department back in 2010, you know, those years, we weren't making any money. I had a bachelor's degree, right? And I was only making $42,000. So back then, and even now, I don't know now, because now they're making a whole bunch of money now, right? So like all officers during that time worked we called them EJs. We worked extra jobs, right? And the goal is you want a nice, easy extra job, right? I used to have some tough extra jobs, right? One time I had an extra job at some apartments in Zone 4 on like Stanton and Delowe. Oh man, it was like I was working. You know what I mean? So it wasn't worth the money, right? Your extra job, your EJ, is supposed to be easy. So when I started to get to know people, you know what I mean? I started to make a name for myself. The EJs start coming in, the better ones start coming in. So, you know, before I was working again, I'm working in the hood where I work, working at some apartments, getting into ish at these apartments. I'm working at hood clubs or Cascade, where 2 officers got fired from working at that same club I used to work on a Cascade. I ain't saying no names or the club name. I'm sure the club ain't there no more. But so I was working all of these and shout out to Sergeant Oliver. The day I'm recording this is his birthday. Like a real mentor on APD for me, because he was the one that got me out that hood club and said, listen, Davis, you need to get the hell from out of there. He said, all money ain't good money. Just let you know there's an investigation going on. As soon as he said that, I quit that. So it was tough. But again, I started to make a name for myself, and I started to get some better EJs. I started to get a regular one on Saturday. I was the regular dude. I was trying to remember the coordinator for that extra job. I can't remember, but he was great, man. So I had a regular Saturday at this spot called Maggiano's in Zone 2. Not too far from Lenox, not too far from, what's that other mall? Phipps. Maggiano's, right? I had a cool narcotics dude. He did traffic in the front, and I watched the parking lot, right? Because they would break in the cars in the parking lot, jump right on the MARTA, and they would be out. So every Saturday, I got that. And I think during the week, I had some really good ones as well, right? But again, you're not making no money, so these extra jobs, they're key, because essentially that's how for me, it wasn't even extra money. It was just, I was just making it with this extra job. Again, it was only $42,000, right? So I left Zone 4 after 3 or 4 years. I left Zone 4. What APD started in 2012 or 2013, they began to, now I'm sure it's amazing. I haven't been there in years, but they began to create what's called the Belt Line. And they got a big federal grant, and they were to start up a unit, right? But to get that federal grant, they had to, on the unit, I think it was probably 20 officers, and probably 85% of us, it had to be veterans. I think there was some stipulation, but they had a certain amount of veterans to even get the grant money. So it was about 20 of us, and a bunch of us was veterans. But we was the first. It was I'm not calling out everybody's name, but me and at the time my boy Smitty, he kind of flaked on me though years later. People just so strange. Anyway, so it was me and him, and it was a bunch of veterans on the units, brand new unit, no more 911 calls. It was straight. We riding around city. It was a bike unit, so we ride around the city, do whatever we want. Right, but mainly on the Belt Line, right? We were trying to deter crime on the Belt Line. Back then, it was like non-existent. I think last week I just heard a girl was stabbed and killed. So it's crazy now, and I'm sure APD, they on top of it, but it's still beautiful. It was beautiful then. So I'm no longer in the hood. I'm not working in Zone 4 anymore. I'm working on the Belt Line. I'm on this. It's called the Path Force. On the Path Force unit, it's great. Weekends off, it's lovely. So I forgot how and who hooked me up, but I got an even better EJ. I still got my Saturdays at Maggiano, right? I'm not giving that up. That's too easy. And I think it was only that Saturday at Maggiano's, I think it was only three hours. And I don't know, it was great money every Saturday, guaranteed, right? So I still kept that. I gave up a few others. Then I forgot who put me onto Midtown Blue, right? So what Midtown, I don't know if they still have Midtown Blue, but at the time, back then, what Midtown Blue was, Midtown Blue only hired Atlanta police officers, right, off duty. And basically, the officers that work for Midtown Blue, you would respond to like nuisance calls, quality of life calls, right? Like there's a homeless person standing in the middle of the road, or there's a large garbage can in the middle of the street. We need a Midtown Blue unit to just go there, turn on your lights until, I don't know, sanitation comes or something like that. Or there's a homeless person sleeping in front of a business. We need Midtown Blue. So what that did was it freed up the patrol officers, but ain't nothing going on in Zone 5. Ain't no crime in Zone 5. The only issue Zone 5 used to have was Boulevard, and Boulevard ain't even there anymore. It's Zone 6. But anyway, so that's a stab at all my Zone 5 officers back then and now. There's no crime in Zone 5, right? So anyway, but Midtown Blue, it freed up the patrol officers. So the patrol officers go take care of more serious calls, and they would be free and available. I'm working one day at Midtown Blue. So I do not know downtown Atlanta Zone 5 like that. I work in the hood. I'm in Zone 4. I'm on Campbellton Road over there, right? I'm I love it. I'm over there, Southwest Atlanta. I don't know nothing about the politics of downtown Atlanta. Neither did I want to know. I loved where I worked, the crime and everything. I loved the people. My beat, 408 beat, I loved it. Stanton Road, I love them people over there. From Stanton at Campbellton all the way to before going to East Point, I love those people, right? So I'm at Midtown Blue working one day. Midtown Blue is easy. They give you a little Midtown Blue vehicle and you just out. Most of the time I be hanging out at Atlantic Station. It's easy, 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 easy. I get a call now. I get a call and let me drop that video. Let me drop that video right here. Watch this video first. I get a call about this. Watch this. All right. So Midtown Blue, I forgot what my unit number was or whatever. They hit me on the radio. It was like they had their separate walkie-talkie. So I had their walkie-talkie, and then I'm also monitoring Zone 5 radio. So they hit me on their little walkie-talkie. Hey, we need you to respond to, I think it was 14th Street and 14th and Peachtree, Colony Square. We got a person that's trespassing. The security guards, the PSOs called and said they have a man. He is disturbing people inside Colony Square, and he's trespassed. I'm like, all right, and I immediately start thinking, all right, hey, show me a route. And I'm thinking, if they got paperwork, documented paperwork showing that this guy is criminally trespassed, he's probably going to jail. I don't know what I'm about to run into. That's just a call I got. All right, I was like, all right, this is gonna be an easy one. Again, this is Zone 5. This is Midtown. This is gonna be easy walking apart. So I'm driving up, coming what's that? Southbound. I think I'm coming up southbound on Peachtree Street. Yeah, southbound. And as I'm coming up, I don't see the person that the security guards called about. I just run into the security guards. I go to security guards. They say, hey, how you doing, officer? Hey, what's going on? So they inform me, hey, we got this guy in here. I don't know if they said, hey, he's a famous street performer. I don't know what they said. They just, hey, we got this guy in here. He's criminal trespass. This, that, and the third. He's wearing a wedding dress, and he was going around humping people and humping their food. Right? I was like, okay. I have no judgment at this point. I don't care what you're wearing then and now. I don't care what you're wearing, what happens in your bedroom, what religion you are. I don't care about none of that then and now. That's your business. Don't try to push that on me, right? I ain't gonna try to push my stuff on you. Don't tell me what happened in your bedroom. I don't care about none of that. I don't care what you want to do, right? So them telling me that wedding dress thing, I was like, whatever. And I thought they was lying, but I was like, well, do you have the paperwork, documentation that he was criminally trespassed? Do you have a card, the little blue card or green card, whatever it was from the officer with a case number, something to show me that he was criminally trespassed? They sure enough had paperwork. They were thorough. I was like, all right. And in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, he may be going to jail, right? If he was inside here, which I'm sure he was, right? Why would security just call and lie? And I think they even had one or two people was like, yeah, we were eating, and he came over and was like grinding up against our food. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, Midtown Blue, this ain't supposed to happen, right? I'm supposed to get off soon and go chill. So I tell the security guards, I'm like, all right, where is he? They was like, all right, he's right over there in the corner. I still couldn't see him, so I had to walk a little bit. As I'm walking, I'm like, oh man. I heard a whistle. While I was walking, I heard a whistle. Beep, 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 beep. And in the video, you probably heard the whistle, right? All I heard was the whistle. And you know what the funny thing is? This is true. The person that posted this on YouTube was like moments before his arrest. That's so true. He had that baton, he had that whistle. So I go up to the corner now and I'm like, oh man, he has, and I think you can't see it in the video, but he had a crowd around him. At that time, it was small. And let me explain something to you, right? This was 2013. YouTube wasn't that popping back then, right? That's why you can't even find too many videos on YouTube about this incident. So YouTube wasn't that big. The social media was not that big at the time. Facebook was still huge at that time. So I see the little crowd he got around him. I'm like, all right, I'm thinking I got to get him away from this crowd, right? Because I want to hear his side, regardless of how much I think he's probably going to jail. That was me, right? Regardless, I want to hear your side. I'm not that dude that I roll up on the scene, I see a girl beat up, and I see a dude over there. I got to hear everything be objective, and then come to a logical conclusion to see if a crime occurred and who is potentially going to jail, right? If anybody's going to jail. So I want to get his side of the story, right? And I'm gonna try not to use his name because, you notice from the beginning of this video to now, I'm not saying allegedly nothing, right? Because I was there. It was me and him and another supervisor. I think the supervisor's still with the department as well. But I was there. I don't have to allege nothing because at the time, he had a history of suing APD and winning, right? So I go now. I'm on the other side of the street. So I gotta cross the street southbound to get to, that side of 14th Street. I believe it was 14th. So as I get over there, before I could even say anything, the gentleman was like, "You better back the F up." And now the crowd, there was like another crowd across the street on the other side of Peachtree Street. Like, what was that? Like westbound. So they're looking. So now they're crossing the street. So now he's getting more people. And again, as I put my foot on that side of the sidewalk, "You better back the F up." I didn't even say anything to him yet. "You better back the F up. You better back the F up, you B." I'm like, oh man. I said, "Hey, listen, I need to talk to you." Security guard, security guards over there, they called, said you were trespassing in there. "I need to talk to you." He's still, "You better back the F up. Don't F and touch me. You black B." I remember all of this. I'll never forget this. So I said, "Hey, listen, I need to talk to you, right? Right now, he is obstructing my investigation. I'm conducting an investigation, right? I already heard from one party, one side of the investigation. I want to hear yours, but he's obstructing my investigation, right? So now I'm like, all right, now I got to detain you, right? So I go grab him. He slaps my hand, and I'm still like, at this time, this is 2013. Everybody's phone is out because unbeknownst to me, I don't know who this dude is. It's just a man to me in a wedding dress and a mask on. The mask is what threw me off. The mask was hilarious to me. This is Atlanta, so a man in a wedding dress, and I'm not making jokes. It's not abnormal. The mask just threw me off, right? But at this point, I wasn't laughing. Nothing was funny. He just slapped my hand. I took a few seconds. I said, "All right, you under arrest. Turn around." And he's still going off cursing. Luckily, he wasn't, resisting too super tough. So, and he was as little as he looked. He was small, but he had some muscle to him. You know what I mean? And he was older, but he had some muscle to him. So I'm like, I hope he don't fight, in front of all these people and all these cameras, because like I said in other videos, when you see law enforcement use reasonable and necessary force, even if it's reasonable, sometimes it can look ugly. The optics just look bad because it's force, right? So I was like, look, I ain't got no time for that. He already hit me. He criminally trespassed. In my mind, I'm like, his ass is going to jail. So I grabbed him, a little more aggressively now. I grabbed him, turned him around. And as I'm turning him around, trying to get him in the cuffs, of course, the cameras is, let him go, all kinds of people yelling stuff or whatever. As I'm trying to cuff him, this guy kicks me. He kicks me. So now I'm being a little even more forceful trying to get him into custody because he's still moving, and then he kicks me. So I finally get him in the cuffs. I was so pissed off, I'll admit this, right? His baton, I threw his baton. And I don't know if that was on camera or whatever. So I threw his baton or whatever, and his baton was left out there, I don't know where, somewhere on Peachtree Street. So I take him back. As we cross the street, I got him in handcuffs, walking him back to I got to wait by the Midtown Blue. I can't transport him in Midtown Blue's vehicle. I called dispatch. I said, "Hey, send me the wagon over here. I got one I need to take back to the mini precinct in Zone 5. But as we're going back now, I got the info from the security guards. He's cussing out the security guards. He's pissed off at them. I got what I needed from them. They left. But after they left, and it was just me and him, he calmed down. He had no more crowd. So I guess he had nobody else to put on the show for. And it was like a 180. He was cool. We started talking. And we had a pleasant conversation there. He got taken back to the mini precinct in Zone 5. I don't know where it was. It was near not too far from Techwood and like Pine Street in that area. So I don't even know if it's still over there. Down the street from northbound from Centennial Olympic Park. I'm trying to give all the, what y'all call themselves? ATLians? I'm trying to give y'all an idea of where I was at. So we get back to the mini precinct now. And periodically throughout, I'm gonna throw up some some pictures and stuff so you can see. So we get back to the mini precinct, and I take him inside. When I sit him down, again, he's cool. He's cool now. He says, "You're gonna be famous today." And I'm like, what are you talking about? Again, people, YouTube family, Simple BK Reactions. I don't know this man. I work in the hood. I work in Zone 4. I'm in Southwest Atlanta. I don't know nothing about Midtown or downtown. I don't even come here when I'm off work. Unless I'm coming for an EJ, I don't come here. I don't hang out here, right? I wasn't even hanging out in Atlanta like that. So I lived, at the time though, I was living in Zone 2 in Northwest Atlanta, not too far, like from Zone 1, Hollywood Road and all of that. But I wasn't downtown like that. So when he said that, "You're gonna be famous today," I'm like, all right, whatever. So we there, we talking this, that, and the third. At this point, I think I'm just waiting to do paperwork so he can go to the city jail. So he says to me, but what threw me off was, as the other officers, I don't know none of these officers. Again, I work in Zone 4. These other officers that are coming into the mini, they're like, "Oh, hey!" Again, I'm not gonna say his name, right? But again, ain't nothing alleged. I was there, right? This is my account of what happened. They're like, "Oh, hey, oh," and they're saying his name, and I'm like, looking around like, okay. I'm like, whatever, maybe it's just a few. Everybody that came in that damn precinct know this man. Everybody that came in this precinct. So now I'm like, oh man, what's going on? So he says to me, and pay attention to one thing I told you already, and pay attention to this next thing. I told you I threw his baton, right? I don't have his baton. His baton is missing. I didn't care about it. He kicked me. He committed battery against me and all that. I'm pissed off. Forget about your baton. While we in there, he says to me, APD had a policy, I don't know about now, but everyone, with minor exceptions, pregnant women, you can't handcuff a pregnant woman to the back, right? That would be understandable. That's one of the deviations from the policy. But the policy was, I don't know about now, everybody has to be handcuffed to the back. For no reason should you be handcuffed to the front. Now, there were situations where, you know, something, whatever, for some reason you had to cuff somebody in the front. It is what it is, right? But he said to me, "Hey, I have to use the restroom." And I'm like, all right, well, I have to handcuff him to the front, right? So, but again, at this point, he was cool. He was cool. So I cuffed him to the front. Pay attention. Remember that. I threw the baton. I handcuffed him to the front, right? Policy is he needs to be cuffed to the back. He goes to the bathroom. He comes back. We're sitting down there. We're talking. There was, so recruits. You had recruits. Like when I was a recruit, I worked in background and recruiting at headquarters, right? And when you're a recruit waiting to go to, again, I don't know what happens now, right? This was 16 years ago. You work at, like, some people work at property, some people work at, I don't know, you work in different areas within the department where help is needed, right? Where you can just do some busy work or some work people don't want to do. So there was a recruit there, probably, I don't know, getting something off the copier, just doing the busy work, right? Stuff people don't want to do. Going to get coffee, I don't know. So the recruit came out and was like, "Hey, officer," true story. "Hey, officer, do you know you're on the news?" I was like, "What?" "Hey, do you know you're on the news?" I was like, "Me?" I was like, I'm thinking, what the hell am I on the news for? And I like glance at the dude. I'm like, yo, who is he? So I'm like, nah, man, he's BSing. I sure enough go around where the TV is, and sure enough, I see myself on the damn news. Not even me. I see me and him. Somebody took a video of the resisting, me trying to get him into custody, sent it to Fox 5 Atlanta. And then I realized this guy is a damn celebrity down here. I am on the news, folks. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm looking at the TV like this. I go back now, and then the same recruit, I think he was on Facebook, and I don't know if what channel or what page he was on, and his fans, the dude fans are going nuts. APD this, APD that. Oh, this officer, blah, blah, blah. They're targeting him. One thing I didn't like, right? And in all seriousness, I didn't like the fans. I respect him because he never, even with, I'm going to get into it, even with his lawsuit and everything, he ain't sue me, and nothing happened, you know what I mean, regarding me with that lawsuit. He sued the department. I respect him because in his lawsuit and everything I can remember about his complaints, he never mentioned that I was targeting him because of what he was wearing or his sexual orientation, because that had nothing to do with nothing. What I didn't like was his fans. His fans try to paint that narrative that it was because of his sexual orientation and his attire. I didn't know what his sexual orientation was initially because I didn't know him. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care about what you wearing, man. I get called out there for you potentially committing a crime. I'm gonna investigate that crime. And if you're asking to go to jail, you're going to jail. You could be wearing a tutu. You could be wearing a dress. Overall, I don't care what you wearing. You going to jail, you going to jail. Period. So his fans are going nuts. Now, but me and him we're having like a reasonable conversation. Like in Jamaica, we said, we did all our reasoning. You know what I mean? We did all our reasoning. We were having a genuine conversation. And he joked and made something like, I told you. I was like, hey, listen. So at this time now, scratch that. Before that, no, right after the news thing, is a phone call. It was the deputy chief. She has since left the department, right? Erica Shields, because at that time we still had Chief Turner, right? So I think she was a deputy chief. Chief Shields calls, and she's inquiring. And APD, like white shirts, those are very, very, very important officers, right? She's calling, inquiring about the arrest of the gentleman. And people, at this point, I'm like, oh man, what have I gotten myself into? So between the news, Facebook, Shields calling this precinct about this arrest, this basic arrest, I'm like, I was concerned. I knew the arrest was legit though. The arrest was legit. There was no excessive force, none of that, right? I knew, so I wasn't worried about that. I'm just worried about like, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to street performers, right? Blowing whistles and causing chaos, right? I'm used to a different kind of chaos that I like. I don't like this chaos and this attention. So we continue to have this conversation. At this point, the lieutenant, he was a lieutenant at the time. I think he was a sergeant. I don't know. He came around and we were just all talking to him again because he's super famous. Everybody know him. I said, listen, you told me you don't have an issue with me, right? You don't have an issue with APD, right? He said, yeah, no. I said, listen, when you get out of jail, can you tell your fans that? Because I'm like, look, I don't want these people, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm just doing my job. So it was just, I asked him a question. I said, hey, when you get out, please let your fans know you don't have a problem with me or APD. On the supervisor, right? He said, why don't we let him do it now? I'm just a regular old patrol officer. He's a supervisor. He said that, supervisor said that, the man was like, okay. So mind you, he's still cuffed to the front. Remember that, cuffed to the front, I threw the baton. I put him the cuff to the front. We take him over though. Again, the supervisor now, he's running the show. Take him over to the little computer. The gentleman, he logged into his Facebook account and he made a statement. Paraphrasing, something along the lines of, he ain't got no issues with APD. His issues are with the security guards at Colony Square. Everything changed when he got out of jail. When he got out of jail, 180 again. He told the media, he told everyone we got out of jail that we forced him to go to Facebook on the spot and put out that statement he made. How ridiculous does that sound? As I'm telling you that, right? Because in my mind, nobody can force you to do nothing, right? You can go in there and just enter a fake password and be like, I can't remember my password, right? And get locked out or something. This gentleman said that we forced him to log into his Facebook and make that statement he made. So, obviously, right? He retains counsel. He submitted a complaint. So they did their investigation. And I got suspended for this, right? 1 day. And you know my problem? This was part of the reason why I left the department, right? Because again, I don't care. I don't care about who you sleeping with, your religion. I don't care about none of that. But what I really felt like, what made me leave, this case made me leave the department because I felt like they were showing favoritism towards him because he was gay. Right? And because he was gay, one, and this is my opinion, right? And again, like I said, I don't care about it. I didn't care about him being gay. He was trespassing and he committed battery against a police officer. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about when the security guards told me he was in the dress. I didn't care about it. I'm like, where he at? He did this? Cool, where he at? Let me go talk to him. That's it. I didn't like how, again, and I respect him because I appreciate him not putting that narrative out there. But I felt like the department, they were scared of him and they were siding with him because he was gay. More so, they were scared of him because, again, I know he had at least one lawsuit before and he won money against them. So for them, I had to be the supervisor too. Supervisor got in trouble. I don't know how many days he got. I got 1 day. So for them to show that they did something about it, they suspended the both of us. But guess what they hit me for? I don't know what the supervisor got. They suspended me for, right? It was hard for me to, and at the time I didn't really care because I was so pissed off. I said, you know what? I'm about to leave anyway. Forget y'all. I'm leaving APD. They got me for losing his property and handcuffing him to the front. So they suspended me 1 whole day, which I was like, whatever. I think I actually made that day. I was able to choose my day of suspension, and I made it like my last day, like that I had resigned from APD. But again, they had to show, hey, look, we did something. See, to like cool him down and his attorney down and everything. And then by that point, right, when after the suspension, obviously I left. They were still going back and forth through with the lawsuit, and they finally, I really had a problem with it. As you can see here, they finally ended up settling with him. And I was just thinking, what did y'all settle for? There was no way for him to prove we forced him to log into Facebook. I don't know if the department was just like, the fact that we made somebody in custody go on Facebook. I can't even say we. Damn supervisor said it was cool to do it, right? You know what I'm saying? The fact that the supervisor okayed him going on to Facebook, maybe it was that. Maybe the department was like, you know, the optics of the situation. How could we possibly have him go on Facebook while he's in custody? I guess, I don't know, but nevertheless, that was the reason why I left the department. You know, the funny thing is, like a lot of people that know me, they don't even know about this story. You know what I'm saying? They don't know about my close homies from New York and everything. They don't know about this story. They didn't know that this was in the media. It was in crazy newspapers down there. It was on the news more than a day. And funny thing, I almost forgot to tell you about this, right? So what was I? Was I still working Midtown Blue? I still was. I was still working Midtown Blue. Before I left, obviously, before I left the department, I was still working Midtown Blue. Shout out to them because they didn't let me go. Again, because the arrest was legit. In that lawsuit and all that stuff, nothing, I was affected none by it. I wasn't named in that lawsuit, nothing. He was strictly suing the police department, just APD. Normally in lawsuits, they'll name everybody from the chief all the way down to the damn police dog. They'll name everybody, but I wasn't in it. And he literally was just trying to get some money, which he did. He got a nice little piece of change for you know, him committing a crime. You know, but what happened, what I was gonna say was, before I left the department and after the incident, I was still working Midtown Blue. And sure enough, one day I was driving, I was at a stoplight on Peachtree and like 10th or something. And who do I see walking in the middle of the street? People, when I tell you I went like this, I just put my head down. I'm like, I want no more problems with this gentleman right here. Because I didn't realize his celebrity, neither did I care about it. Right? Because I've pulled people over like, what's that Miss America chick name? I don't know, Miss America, and now she was on Real Housewives of Atlanta or something like that. I think her last name is Moore. She was Miss USA or something like that. I've pulled her over before, and the only reason I told her car was it was time to get off. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't care about his celebrity. I just knew in that moment, I knew I was being investigated I said, I don't want no problems with him. I saw him look at me, and I just looked the other way. I looked down, light turned green. I floored it and got out of there. But you know, to this day, I don't have any animosity towards him. I definitely, you know, I definitely still got some animosity towards APD for that, because that was BS. You just used me and the supervisor. Well, supervisor was dead wrong though. Supervisor was talking about, I told gentlemen, hey sir, when you get out of jail, supervisor talking about he could do it right now. That's on the supervisor. But I do got some animosity towards the police department, right? Because you know, they just wanted to use us as scapegoats to show the public, hey, we did something. But it is what it is. Although I got the animosity towards APD, I loved every moment that I worked in Zone 4. You know, because to me, Zone 4 at that time, it was like a little Brooklyn. The same things I was seeing there is the same, you know, them kids, same things those kids was facing. Well, it was a little more extreme where I was, you know what I mean? But I was facing the same things in Brooklyn, you know, a little bit more, but, you know, so I understood the community, you know what I mean? And up to maybe a year or two ago, you know, 1722 Camden Road, my Chevron, my homie Jimmy, right? Jimmy had my personal number, and after I left the department, me and him would still talk, right? I had a deep connection with a lot of people on Stanton Road over there. And shout out to all those people over there. Shout out to everybody in Zone 4, Southwest Atlanta. Yeah, I know I got much love for y'all out there. I got much love for Atlanta in general. Atlanta has changed now though. When I was there, I don't know. It just seemed like it was different. But yeah, that's it. You could go Google the story, go read the news articles if you want a good laugh. But that's what it is. I appreciate y'all sitting and hearing this hilarious story. I laugh, I smile just thinking about what transpired, man. It was crazy. It was a crazy day. I'm on the midday news, and I'm handcuffing the dude in the dress. The optics was crazy. But yo, stay safe out there. Check out my other videos. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. All right, peace.